Yo, people, welcome back to On Track GP. It's time to talk about what's happening qualifying for the Japan Grand Prix. I'm here to talk with Koylan. Brother, first of all, how are you doing on this early morning?
I'm good. I haven't slept yet, so I apologize for the bags under my eyes, but no, all good, yeah. Can't complain.
This is what Japan does to people. It has no thought or any sort of feeling towards people's time schedules, sleep patterns, nothing. They're ruthless out there in Japan. They got us out here at silly times, and the race is going to be even worse. But let's talk about Verstappen back on pole. All of those fears and worries that were in the previous race completely annihilated, eliminated. This guy was way out in front throughout the sessions and way in front of his teammate. I guess this is going to be a simple victory tomorrow for Verstappen. What do you make of his performance?
Yeah, well, it just confirms that Singapore was really a once-off, wasn't it? So, yeah, he was right from FP1 yesterday. He was just on it, so he was straight away, and there was no real catching him. McLaren tried to put up the best fight that they could, and they were quite close, but in the end, it was Verstappen all the way. And like you said, just so far off Perez, he was 3/4 of a second off, I think, in Q3. Down in fifth, not so bad. He's good race pace. It's looking okay for him, but still that massive gap there.
Yeah, I think Verstappen should, if he gets off to a good start on that racing line on Sunday, I expect him to just completely blitz it and run away from everyone. Like you said, in practice, he was putting up the fastest times anyway. So, yeah, once that Red Bull's out in front, it's very difficult to imagine anyone catching him. We talk about McLaren in second and third. Really good positions for McLaren. What are the hopes for Piastri and Lando now? I kind of spoke about in the preview, this car's really starting to pick up some speed. It could be, in my opinion, they will be the closest challengers to Red Bull on evidence that we're seeing so far, unless there's some crazy level of upgrades over the summer. Well, not over the summer, but over the break for F1 when the season's finished. But these guys look like they're in a great position. Do you think they'll be able to hold off the likes of Leclerc, Perez behind them? Because what a performance.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, props to Piastri for getting the front row on a circuit he's never even raced at before. That was a great performance from him. But yeah, I think so, because all through the free practice sessions, you had long runs, you had qualifying runs, they were right there at Red Bull more or less. So unless somebody gets the jump on one of them tomorrow, I could say you could probably go for a double podium with Piastri and Norris, unless something happens at the start. It's really impressive.
We say it so casually, but this progress is insane. For them to be thinking about a double podium from where they were at the start of the season, which was basically behind Alpine, really. They were behind Alpine, it looked like, at the start of the season. They weren't in that conversation with Aston Martin at all, and anybody else, no chance. Now they've developed themselves and their car into a position where they're talking about double podiums. And actually, potentially, if they get the strategy right, listen, if Verstappen doesn't clear off the road, then they have two cars there that, one can maybe, pit as soon as Verstappen pits, keep up with, just similar strategies to him. One can go the distance to stay out for longer if he was to pit first. Do you think there's any sort of strategic plan that could work for those two cars behind Verstappen, or the pace that you've seen from Verstappen is maybe just too much to even contemplate any sort of overtake from those two?
Yeah, no, I think so. I think there's a very good potential for an alternate strategy there. We've seen it before where, for example, one race I can remember is Monza a few years ago, where the Mercedes couldn't catch Kimi Räikkönen and Ferrari, and what they did was Bottas went long, and by the time Räikkönen caught him after the pit stop, it was too late. Hamilton, held him up, and Hamilton got him in the end. So yeah, there's always potential for things like that. I don't know which one of them would do it, if you want to send Piastri out long and try and get Norris, or something like this. But yeah, definitely, and that's the problem again with not having Perez up there. I know he's only 1 or 2 cars away, but he's still away from where he should be. He should be there to back up Max in situations like that.
Exactly. That's what exposes Red Bull potentially up there and gives them a little bit of a point of weakness. But Leclerc finishing in fourth, Sainz just behind Perez, as you was mentioning, down in sixth. Good day for Ferrari, in your opinion? Or is this kind of the best that they can do at this current moment with what we've seen so far this season? I know they've come off the back of really strong weeks for Sainz, but we knew that wasn't, going to stick around with Verstappen, obviously the quickest car, and McLaren doing what they're doing. This feels like a good, safe amount of points that they can maybe collect from the weekend.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we've seen in Singapore, obviously Red Bull fell off, but in a way, we've seen again in Singapore the way Ferrari came strong. I think it was just very circuit specific. My apologies. But yeah, here in Japan, they're kind of a little bit off the pace to Red Bull and McLaren. But if they can bring home that 5th and 6th tomorrow, like you said, a good haul of points for them. So it could be a good day for them.
And then we have Mercedes as well in that top 10, right next to each other. Lewis Hamilton and George Russell. Obviously, George Russell looking to respond from what happened the week before. Still can't believe that happened, to be honest. Ridiculous situation on that final lap for him. And Hamilton, who did get that podium as well, it is far back for Mercedes. Does this track suit them? I was watching some incredible lap times from Hamilton in Suzuka years ago, and I was trying to put myself up to think that maybe there could be another podium for Sir Lewis, but I just don't think that's going to be the case this time. How far back they are, it just seems like way too many cars to leapfrog, and the cars in front of them, some of them are ridiculously quick.
Yeah, I mean, it in the practice sessions throughout the weekend. I mean, even through sector one, there were maybe four tenths to half a second off the Red Bull and even the McLaren at some stages. And it's a shame for Hamilton because he always goes well at Suzuka. I think it was during the qualifying that somebody said that this is his worst qualifying position at Suzuka since 2009. He was always up in the top 5 since then. So yeah, I don't know. It's hard to know Mercedes. Again, like we mentioned, it's this whole thing of kind of performing at one race, not performing at the other, and there's still that trickiness going on with the W14 or whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, they'll just be looking ahead tomorrow and just trying to see what they can do. Maybe they can challenge the Ferraris. Who knows? But yeah, I'm not so sure for them, to be honest.
Liam Lawson, so close to qualifying and making it into Q3, unfortunately, but his teammate Tsunoda on his home track qualifies in 9th in the top 10, just in front of Alonso. Those AlphaTauris are starting to look like decent weapons in that midfield battle. They're ahead of both the Alpines. They've managed to get themselves kind of sandwiched with Alonso there just in the middle. What's the hope here again for these guys? Can we be looking at potentially points for AlphaTauri, or do you think in the race they might pull back? I don't see anybody there that they should be particularly, I guess, afraid of or worried about in that battle with maybe, there is an Aston Martin there, but also Williams and Alpine as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, ever since they introduced these upgrades in Singapore last weekend, they've really been on it and up in the points positions. So, yeah, I think so. I think points is a realistic game. It'd be great for Tsunoda to score points to his home Grand Prix. I think all the fans would like that at Suzuka. And of course, Liam Lawson again, just off the top 10 in Q2. I think it was like half a tenth at the end. And I kind of laughed when I seen again he was in Q3 almost for a couple of seconds. I just thought, they confirmed Tsunoda and Ricardo earlier this morning. I just thought, well, what better way to kind of show the team, well, maybe you should have picked me, kind of thing. But who knows? Yeah, I think so. I think points for both of them could be a realistic goal for tomorrow.
Yeah, no, I really hope Liam Lawson has another good performance, even though it won't matter in maybe the short-term future for his AlphaTauri career, Red Bull. But, never know. Maybe another team will take a look at this, because as we go through, we talk about Williams. Obviously, Albon in a solid position just behind Gasly, but Sargent in Q1 going out, having that crash in his first season under pressure for his seat to try and protect that to continue into the next season. But those crashes, I know that they were talking about maybe the Williams car having a bit of a weakness in that respect as well, its grip. But even still, if you know that, you can't be sliding off in Q1 there and going into the wall in that part of the track as well. Where do you think Williams may be at with Sargent? Because he's had a couple of races like this recently now where he's not even able to finish.
Yeah, and after Singapore as well, the clumsy mistake there he had going into the wall. It's a tricky time for Logan Sargent. They were saying throughout the weekend that he was actually matching Albon for pace, and in terms of his overall pace, it was actually looking like he was improving this weekend. But again, the accident in Q1, it just kind of snapped on him a little bit coming out of the corner, and he just ran onto the grass and couldn't save it. It was a little bit clumsy. But like you said, I mean, Williams, they said sometimes that the grip or whatever is an issue with the car, but then again, Alex never did that through the corner,
Exactly.
throughout the lap. So yeah, it's a tricky time for Logan, and especially again with the news that Lawson won't be with AlphaTauri next year, you have to start to imagine, is that coming into the thoughts of James Vowles and everybody at Williams?
100%. And then the rest of this pack, I guess, in the bottom half, we've got Ocon, Magnussen, Bottas, Stroll, which we disappointed. Stroll, what happened with Stroll in qualifying? Why is he in that position?
I'm not sure, to be honest. It's just the usual story with him. It just seemed like compared to Alonso, at least he just didn't have the pace in the car. I'd imagine he's trying to build some confidence back up from the crash at Singapore. But again, this is a common occurrence where he's nowhere near his teammate. Which again, given that he's been with that team for quite a while, he should be a lot closer.
Exactly, and I highly doubt that Aston Martin favour the car more to Alonso than Stroll's in terms of style, considering Stroll is the son. So I'd assume that stylistic not only stylistically wise, not only has he been there for longer, like you said, but also the car should be tailored, to him in some respects as well. We had Hulkenberg and Zhu as well in this bottom part of the pack. What's your predictions for tomorrow? Now that you've seen qualifying, what are you putting on the line for top three?
Well, to be honest, I still think Verstappen, like you said, will probably pip up, but the fact that you have two McLarens in the top three is really exciting. I'm really excited to see what they can do. I mean, they have really, really good race pace compared to their Red Bull. And it'd be just interesting to see if they think they're doing the ultimate strategy like we mentioned a few minutes ago. And another thing to note as well, they were saying throughout the weekend that because we're in Japan earlier than we would be throughout your traditional F1 calendar, it's actually warmer and the tire degradation is a lot worse, which means you're going to have maybe 3 stops tomorrow, which could really throw it up for those in the top 5 or those trying to get into the points. So yeah, I think it'd be Verstappen, and I'd like to see both McLarens on the podium, Piastri at least, because it'd be his first proper podium. So yeah, I'd say McLaren P1 or Verstappen P1. I'd say Piastri P2, and I'd probably stick with Norris P3. I can't see anybody challenging them.
So no change in that lineup. Well, listen, I'd love that. I'm kind of living off this McLaren high right now as a Mercedes fan, but I feel very attached to McLaren right now. I don't know where it is. The driver lineup's perfect. Obviously, they had that Hamilton history, so I'm very much here for a double podium score for McLaren. Hopefully, they get that done, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. This is your Japanese Grand Prix preview, and we will be there for the watch along early doors. I think it's a 5 o'clock start, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jesus. So there we go. The night buses will be in full effect. So make sure that you're ready, guys, for that one. And I'm hoping to see a great race, especially after the conditions that you've spoken about there, a little bit different to normal. Might throw the teams off. At least they can't go on past experience because the last race was nothing like what you're talking about. So let's see how that goes. Guys, make sure you subscribe, make sure you smash the likes, and we will see you guys tomorrow. In a bit, people. Peace.